down. Okay, you ready?
Kia ora, talofa lava, greetings.
Hi.
Hi, your name is Katia?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. Hi.
Okay, well, welcome to our session.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Katia, if at any time you would like some water, please go ahead, or if you'd like some snacks, they're all on the table, whatever you need.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Are you comfortable with our distance?
Yes.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
And the room is feeling nice and comfortable and
all
safe?
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, all good. Thank
Okay. Well, Katia, being our first session, let me tell you a little bit about what I do. I'm a student counsellor from MIT, and we abide by, well, we actually with a professional governing body, being the New Zealand Association of Counsellors. Okay. We abide by a code of ethics, and that means that one of the main ethics are whatever you say here today, it's private, it's confidential, it doesn't go anywhere, and your best interest is at heart. Okay. Together with my supervisors, we're constantly building towards your safety. If at any time I feel there's a concern for your safety, together with yourself and my supervisors, we will build a safety plan to keep you safe. Okay. So you would have remembered before you got here, I sent you through email a counselling contract.
Yes, I got that.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I
Okay.
have had a look at that. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So everything that I've mentioned, there's more detail about all that I've said in that contract. And if you get stuck anywhere or you need to get some info on any part of it, please just let me know.
Okay.
But that just notifies us of our duration, which normally it lasts between 50 minutes to 1 hour, our sessions. And if I see that we're coming to the end, I'll let you know as we near it to the end. And also, it also tells you the cost of our sessions. Normally, the first one is free, and then thereafter, you're welcome to let me know if you'd like to continue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we've got hotline numbers. So if any time you feel you need to talk to someone and it's in the middle of the evening, it's a 24-hour system where it's emergency numbers. There are quite a few there that you're welcome to just give us a call.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
No, I think I'm good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Katia, would you like to start our session off with a karakia, a moment of pause or a deep breath?
No, I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So tell me, what brings you to session today?
So I too am a student counsellor, and I started my practicum not so long ago. And as I've really come from a very good family, I've never had to experience, luckily, any abuse or any violence. Those kind of things just unsettle me a little bit. So my first client session, it was a child, and that child said that he had been abused. And I just feel that I potentially didn't handle that session very well. I kind of felt that I didn't answer the questions correctly. I didn't ask him what potentially was important to have asked. I just kind of froze in the moment and questioned him on other things and potentially didn't get to the core of the abuse that he mentioned. So, yeah, that was a bit frustrating, if I can say that, because I just don't think, I think there were other ways I potentially could have handled it.
Okay, so let me just get this all correctly. I'm just going to run this through. You've just recently started your practicum. You're a counsellor, a student counsellor as well. And you had this client that you became quite shocked when you heard certain things, okay, and you didn't know how to go about it in the correct manner. Have I got that right?
Yeah, because like in hindsight, I thought to myself, oh, I could have asked this, I could have asked that. Why didn't I ask all those questions that were important at that stage?
Okay. Tell me more about those questions.
Well, like I should have probably asked him how often he gets hit. When does he get hit? How does he get hit? But all those questions just didn't come to mind at that stage.
Okay.
And all that I could think of asking was, that must be, make you feel sad. And I then kind of went back to who he spends time with at school and how school, so I kind of went off the point. And then he said he spends time with his grandfather, and then I said, well, that's lovely to spend time with granddad. And then he said, no, it's not, because granddad hits him as well. And I just again just didn't hone into that very well.
So you mentioned frustration. How did that moment with his grandfather, hearing his grandfather also hitting him, how did that make you feel?
Well, I was frustrated because I should have known more to ask more about that. And I kind of, I don't want to say brushed it under the carpet, but I just didn't go into the correct questioning that I should have. And so that's when I say frustrating, that was pretty frustrating for me. That I just felt like all my learning had been wasted because I didn't make use of any of that learning in the session.
So it seems to me that this frustration comes from the learning?
Yes, and I think within myself as well. Because I should have known better, because I've just been studying that kind of thing and how to handle it. And I wasn't making use of any of those skills that I had learned.
So if you had handled it differently, what would the perfect outcome have been, or how do you feel you would have handled it?
So probably would have come about with him saying, my father hits you. I should have led into that maybe by saying that must be really, really hard for you and very scary for you, and do you want to tell me a little bit more about why your father hits you, to see what that brings up, and then possibly lead into how often does your dad hit you, and do you know for what reason your dad hits you. Had I handled that correctly, those probably would have given me the answers to those questions I feel I didn't ask at the time.
So those unanswered questions left you feeling very frustrated, and if you had answered them correctly, how would you have felt then?
I think I probably would have felt like I did my job. Because, when I took it to my liaison person, and my liaison person wasn't there, so I had to see the assistant. And I haven't built up a rapport with her, so to tell her what I was feeling, it almost made me feel stupid when she kind of then went, well, did you ask this? And I was like, no. Did you ask that? Well, no, I didn't ask that either. So not only frustration, but probably also kind of second guessing my abilities.
How many sessions had you had in this type of area?
This was my very, very first client. It was my first practicum placement with that client. So it was really a tough one to deal with.
So your first one, a tough one.
Yeah, really tough. Really tough.
And being your first one, before you had started, did you imagine something different?
Maybe because I said maybe I'm a bit like an ostrich with my head in the sand, because I've never come from anything like that.
Okay, you said so.
Maybe I kind of was assuming that I would be led into a session more gently. Kind of maybe that the practicum placement would say she's a student, let's give her something a bit more simple to deal with. But they didn't seem to know anything about this case or enough to.
Okay.
So I think they were also quite taken aback when I told them what I had to deal with. And on discussion with the other counsellors, they were in shock because they were like, wow, that's a heavy first case to take on.
Okay.
So maybe I shouldn't have been quite that hard on myself, because, you know, it was acknowledged by others that it was quite a tough case.
Okay.
But it doesn't ease any of that frustration.
So you realize that even though you were so hard on yourself, and many other people that you liaisoned with, they realized that this was quite a tough experience for a first-time counsellor in her first session. Okay.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was really somebody coming out of kind of uni, and it was just, oh my goodness, I think we had maybe just on a year under our belts. It was quite stressful. And then also a lot of the learning was done after that session through college, so I was kind of put into a situation that I didn't know enough about. I feel. And I didn't react on my feet. I kind of was possibly a little bit too placid. But my reasoning behind that was because I wanted to have another session with him before I could make any judgment calls or report the situation.
Okay. So from what I'm hearing, you don't have a background of any violence, anything, so that already tells you that, you know, this maybe would have been difficult. You were afraid of such a thing. Is that what I'm?
Yes, because I've never heard of stuff. I mean, we grew up and we got a hiding if we misbehaved, but it wasn't a beating, it was a hiding, and it's just the way we grew up. You misbehaved, you got a hiding, you got over it, and you carried on. So that's kind of probably the worst. I don't know if they label that abuse nowadays. It's not abuse to me. So yeah, I had a really good upbringing, so that kind of thing is pretty foreign to me. So yeah, it was a tough call.
And from what I heard also, being a tough call, you didn't really report it as yet.
No, because I wanted to proceed with his second session to answer all those questions, because then I took it to, like I said, to my liaison person, and after her questioning me, I went, this is what I should have done, but maybe my second session I can proceed with that. But she then insisted that I report it to Arama Tamariki. Which I understand the rules in New Zealand are a bit different. I just thought it was a bit of overkill to immediately report. Like I said, I grew up where you did something wrong, you got a smack on your bottom and you got on with it. So was it that kind of a smack that he got? Those are the things I wanted to inquire more before I go and report it. Because, you know, they've got a big caseload. And then for me to send them an email about a child who got a smack because he didn't behave properly is, I feel, wasting their time, really, because there's bigger cases out there that need more attention.
So you felt that it wasn't necessary as yet. It wasn't necessary to go and make a big ordeal, because you didn't have enough information and you were wanting to wait for the second session. Pick up to see how severe it was. I mean, in the back of my mind, I always had a worry that, like my liaison person said, if you had just left it, what would have happened if he was beaten to death and you did nothing? So I always had that kind of nagging in the back of my head. But there were no triggers, there was no signs while I was having my session with him. He wasn't blue and bruised, and he wasn't crying, and he wasn't distraught. So nothing alerted me
to a potential problem. Yeah.
Okay. So you looked at one angle and you looked at another angle, and you did compare the two, but you took what you heard from your liaison, was it liaison person, that you took her advice and you went and reported it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I had to do.
Okay. Okay. So this seems really like a challenging situation. Must have been really, really difficult for you. And what were your coping strategies when it came to that frustration?
So I had my liaison person.
Okay.
I had my supervisor, so I took that to my supervisor session as well.
Okay.
Which was quite helpful. And then I've got a support structure at home. Obviously, I can't discuss the case with my husband, but I can just say I had a difficult situation. This is how I felt about it. And so, yeah, my coping mechanisms are all in place. So it was fine. You know, it was fine. I think at the end of the day, I was more angry with myself.
Okay.
Than being triggered by anything that was said. I felt angry at myself for not dealing, in my opinion, with it properly.
Okay.
So the frustration and the anger came around me not feeling I handled it properly as I should have.
So Katja, on a scale from 1 to 10, let's say 1 being not so frustrated and 10 being extremely frustrated, when this happened on the day, how were you on that scale?
After the session, I was fine. It was after I had spoken to my supervisor, and not my supervisor, my liaison person. Yeah, probably close to a 9, I would say, because I was really annoyed at how it all panned out.
Okay.
And very frustrated with the way it had gone. So I would say probably a 9.
Okay, a 9. Yeah, that sounds rather high. And how do you feel on that scale today, from a 1?
Oh, I feel much better now, because now I know exactly how to go into a session like that. If it were to happen again, I am equipped now with knowing what to ask, what not to ask. And then again, because if it is ever an abuse case again, I would need to just take it to my liaison person. But I would know the right questions. So I'm probably a lot more confident now going in. I would say probably on a scale, I'm sitting at a 4 now, 3 or 4 even, that I'm really confident in knowing what I have done wrong and how I can improve on that.
So I've heard a bit how you did relieve all this as this frustration and anger. Yeah, and what did you do exactly to get from a 9 to a 4?
Oh, just like really thinking about it, looking into how I could improve. We also have, during our lectures, we have group supervision and taking it to that group and getting feedback from the students. Students from the lecturer, then from my supervisor, and then from my liaison person. So just actually not feeling like I've got to try and deal with everything, but kind of farming it out a bit and seeing where I can get, feedback and advice and guidance and support.
So you had a lot of support from your support peers and your supervisor, your family. Okay. And have you been progressing into other situations as such?
Yeah, I've got about 5 clients at the moment. So 2 adults. I'm about to start working on another 2 children. So let's see what that brings about. But definitely feel like I'd be better equipped to go into those sessions now. Yeah.
So it sounds to me like everything that you've told me so far, it was rather frustrating, and you felt very angry, but you've come down to a 4, and it sounds to me like you feel like you've learned a lot and you've
Yes.
equipped yourself,
Yeah.
and you would know how to deal
Yeah.
with your next 2 children, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
starts in a week's time, roughly. Yeah.
And what could get you down? What coping mechanisms or strategies could you use to get you down to a 1?
Probably learning more through our classes.
Okay.
So seeing, like now we've learnt a lot
Mm.
of what I could have used then.
Okay.
So just, practicing research, probably that,
Okay.
and bringing more to my supervisor, I would say,
Okay.
probably. And like now with you,
Yeah.
you know, having that discussion,
Yeah.
and letting you know how I kind of feel about it, and
Yeah. So look, Katja, we're not to the end of our session yet, but we are nearing towards the end of our session, and I just would like to actually ask you, you know, if you would be open to maybe looking at a model called the Te Whare Tipafa. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's by Mason Dury.
We have, yes.
Yeah.
We kind of looked into that in my first year, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know, or have heard about it, yeah.
Okay. So if you'd like, we could always go into a little bit of the Te Whare Tipafa and look to unpack a little bit more, maybe to try and get you to a 1.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to go back to what I've heard so far from what you've told me. And in the beginning you came in, and I now know that you're a student counsellor as well. And you've started your practicum, and you came across quite a difficult session with a young boy. Huh? Okay. And with hearing him being hit and all of that, and not having ever really experienced any violence at home, and you've come into this new environment which frustrated you because you wanted to use what you've learned, and also felt that you needed to have learned maybe a little bit more before you went into the session.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went also on, and you now feel that you've gone from a scale that was rather high, like a number 9, and you've moved quite along to a number 4, which makes you feel rather confident now, and you're feeling very equipped to moving forward.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if we listen to our session that we've shared together today, could you tell me what you could take from this session?
Yeah, probably the need to talk about things
Okay.
before they get too overwhelming for me.
Okay.
Going out and just seeking the right people to speak to, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So who could you go and talk to?
Probably my peers
Okay.
who are studying and going through similar things, and taking that to, we've got a support group, so maybe kind of being a bit more open, not open, but kind of sharing a lot more in there.
Okay.
And getting hold of my supervisor more, maybe, when things trigger me.
Okay.
And getting to talk to my supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I said in the beginning, if you'd like to continue with our session in the future, would you be happy with us maybe carrying over to another session?
Yeah, that sounds
okay.
great.
So I could rebook it next week.
You can do that. That's
okay.
perfect.
And would you like to finish off our session maybe with a deep breath or a moment of pause?
No, I'm quite happy.
Okay.
I'm quite happy.
Lovely.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Katja.
Okay.
Thank you. Enjoy your
Teresa.
day.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
So I thought it was really good when you said, tell me more about those questions, because it really opened up the discussion around what did happen and what she would have liked to have happened. So I thought that was really well done. And I really loved the scale that you brought in and using that to explore the frustration and her confidence, and then using that scale, coming back to that, to see how she was, how she is now, and what she did to get there, and then how you can use that further with the Te Whare Tapawha. And I thought asking about the frustration was really helpful in trying to go into those feelings, because it kind of exposed those feelings and how she was feeling at the time and opened up more conversation. So yeah, there's nothing really, I think, I would say that, yeah, you didn't do great.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. I did feel it was helpful that I explored more on the feelings. I would though like to maybe match up a different word or a different feeling that would match those feeling words. So I was thinking of that as we were working, but it didn't come to mind. But that's something I'd like to explore a little bit more. And what I would do differently next time, I felt rather at ease with everything that just went the way that it went. It felt rather natural. So I'm not sure what I would do differently. I'd have to give it a little bit more thought. But yes, so far I felt happy with the way the session went.
Perfect. What was helpful, again, I also found it quite helpful that you pinpoint a word like frustration, and you asked me to build on that kind of thing. So you picked on something that I mentioned and you went with that.
No,
and I don't really think that I would like you to do anything differently. You started the session well. I felt comfortable being with you. You used pause, which made me kind of then open up to something else again. So I liked the way you handled that session.
Thank you.
Okay.